From Delhi, Maruf Raza. From Islamabad, Imtiaz Gul, author of Pakistan Before and After Osama. From Delhi, Subramanian Swamy of the Janata Party. From Islamabad, Ahmad Raza Kasuri, Senior Advocate, Supreme Court of Pakistan. From Delhi, Colonel Anil Kaur. And from Lahore, Farid Malik, Think Tank Coordinator of the PTI. And also this evening from Karachi, to whom my first question goes, Air Vice Marshal Abid Rao, good evening. You know, all this puppy-juppy, cross-border diplomacy, niceness, cordial invitations, you know, we all know it amounts to absolutely nothing. At the fundamentals, neither have Nawaz Sharif's views changed, nor has the position of the ISI changed. In fact, we have all the details here with Times Now, which we are broadcasting this evening, of what the ISI has in plan for the summer of 2013 in Jammu and Kashmir. Given this backdrop, Air Vice Marshal, shouldn't we be practical and just call off this, you know, happy invitations being sent across the border in the aftermath of Sharif's victory? Air Vice Marshal Abid Rao, can you hear me, sir?
You're very intermittent, you know, the voice suddenly fades out.
Okay, let me put that question to Maruf. I'll just open up. Maruf, what do you think? Should the Prime Minister reject the invite?
Well, that is really the Prime Minister's call, but you know, there are certain issues. You've already highlighted the fact that the ISI continues to be a power unto itself. And I think before Mr. Sharif is able to rein in the military and the ISI, and an interesting news item caught my eye in the newspapers today, where it is said that Prime Minister designate Nawaz Sharif has asked the army for a free hand to deal with India, which means that even he acknowledges the fact that really the people who call the final shots on Indo-Pak relations are in Rawalpindi and not in Islamabad. Now that is very worrying, because when you expect a person with such sweeping mandate and have the power and the support of the people would make not a plea to the army, but very clearly instruct that they should not cross a particular red line if he is very, very serious about moving forward with India. The second aspect which worries me, and to which I think even the most ardent Mr. Sharif supporters will not have an answer, that how does he intend to pacify the hardliners which have slowly and steadily over the last 5-7 years become the mainstream of Pakistan, and particularly on the Indo-Pak front, which is East Punjab and West Punjab, which is bordering each other. There are people who have a huge sway over public minds, and they tend to survive and they tend to thrive on anti-India sentiment. So I think those two issues in particular,
no, but Nawaz Sharif himself
must be addressed.
No, but Nawaz Sharif himself, even though the cocktail circuit likes to believe that Nawaz Sharif is any different, Nawaz Sharif happily plays into their hands. He's a practicing politician. He does business with these hardline groups. Air Vice Marshal Abid Rao, would you agree with me as a realist? As a realist, Air Vice Marshal Abid Rao, would you agree with me that these invitations are completely ridiculous? That they mean nothing, either from India to Pakistan or from Pakistan to India? This is not going to amount to anything.
No, I do not agree with you even 1%. This is the only way of keeping the dialogue open, a channel that is open, where people can talk about what you are talking. You know, these are the matters not to be handled on media. These are to be handled at political and diplomatic level. And the third level is the flag meetings and DGMOs and at the army, whatever you have. Now, unfortunately, I do not have access to any of this information of ISI plans of keeping unrest in Jammu and Kashmir. And if there is a window of opening and window of peace, your Indian media wants to shut that down. That is very unfortunate. You must note one thing positively, that all political parties who have contested elections, not a single one, I repeat, has anti-India agenda, slogan,
you are wrong there, sir. You are wrong there, sir. That because there is a difference between having a anti-India sentiment in your heart and not saying it. You may say that the India did not figure in the election campaign, but I distinctly remember, Subramanian Swamy, let me get you it. I distinctly remember that when Nawaz Sharif was asked about Hafiz Saeed, he accused India. Nawaz Sharif was asked about Hafiz Saeed, and Nawaz Sharif accused India, saying India has not given enough evidence. What more proof is required, Sir Subramanian
Exactly.
Swamy?
Now,
Subramanian Swamy, is Nawaz Sharif any different?
Well, Nawaz Sharif has already shown his hand before the coup that took place with Musharraf coming in as martial law administrator. He's a hardcore supporter of the Jamaat-e-Islami, and he is in this election. He has been supported by hardcore fanatic elements, and we can't have the Prime Minister go all of a sudden to Pakistan without doing a background analysis. Some position papers have to be prepared. We know that in Pakistan there are about 5 different governments, and none of them listen to the other. One is Mr. Nawaz Sharif's government, which is not, by the way, a majority government yet. And then there is the ISI, there is the army, then there is the mullah, and then there is the Taliban. Now they all pull in different directions, except that most of the hardliners support Mr. Nawaz Sharif, and I don't think there can be any difference between Mr. Nawaz Sharif and any of these militant elements. So I think we have to move very cautiously, and I certainly would advise the Prime Minister, please don't go.
Okay, though Nawaz Sharif says, I would like to start where I left in 1999. Mr. Kasuri and Farid Malik, most Indians would say that when Nawaz Sharif says, I want to go back where I started want to resume where I left it in 1999, it was 1999 was the year of the Kargil war. And Musharraf even now says, though there is a dispute over it, Musharraf even now says that the entire move on Kargil operations was cleared by Nawaz Sharif in January 1999. Though Nawaz Sharif wants to pretend he didn't know anything about Kargil. He wanted to tell the Indians and the Americans that. The fact is, Musharraf says he cleared it. So the last time there was this puppy jappi, Mr. Kasuri, we had Kargil after that. So Indians have a very bitter memory of Nawaz Sharif. Your response?
Well, regarding the Indo-Pakistan relation, let me be very frank with you that this was not a moot point in the electioneering. No political party discussed what would be the level of dialogue with India and what concession Pakistan can extend to India on a bilateral basis. Nothing was said about it. So in the ultimate analysis, this remained the pigeon of Foreign Office to determine the state policy as far as Indo-Pakistan relations are concerned. Now, Mr. Nawaz Sharif, who has extended invitation without even taking oath and not knowing that in last 12 years what has been the mode of thinking in the Foreign Office is thinking in a very naive manner.
There you
because statecrafts are not dealt in such a naive fashion that you extend invitation as if you are arranging a marriage of your son, you see. So these are a very serious matter and it needs consultation, a very deep consultation with the Foreign Office, because Foreign Office is the one which is equipped with all possible material.
Sir, I think, sir, I think,
of the day
I think you,
sir,
Mr. Kasuri,
and Nawaz Sharif,
Mr. Kasuri,
in the saddle on the driving seat, having said that he has extended invitation to the Indian Prime Minister, that looks very nice.
Mr. Kasuri, the fact of the matter is that we here at Times Now have moved on since 1999. But there is a cocktail circuit, you see, in your country and in our country. And that cocktail circuit wants to still believe that we can turn the clock back 14 years. I know where you stand, Mr. Kasuri. I can understand where you stand. By the way, Mr. Kasuri, I am sure Imtiaz Gul, who's sitting next to you, will also agree that there is no greater hardliner than Nawaz Sharif. Because Nawaz Sharif, Imtiaz Gul, can you hear me? Mr. Gul? I don't think Mr. Gul can hear me, but isn't it a fact, Colonel Anil Kaul, isn't it a fact that Nawaz Sharif also accused India of a blame game on 26/11? On 26/11, his stated position on 26/11 is that India should stop the blame game, and the real culprits behind the Mumbai attacks were not supported by Pakistan. That's his real position, isn't it?
Well, Arnab, to be To start with, I agree with Mr. Kasuri for a change that Nawaz Sharif has been very naive in extending this invitation. Having been in service in 1999 during the Kargil conflict, I would like to caution all the people on the cocktail circuit to take this invitation with a pinch of salt. Let us see something happening on ground first before we start rushing to Islamabad or Rawalpindi and doing, as you say, puppy jappi. Firstly, my suggestion is close down the terror camps forthwith if you have the guts to do it. Secondly, send Hafiz Saeed back where he belongs. Number 3, extradite Dawood Ibrahim. Number 4, get us the 2611 masterminds. Then we talk about going across and making all the merriment that is being done on both sides of the border. That is my take on this.
Well, there you are. So, Maruf, we go back to square one, don't we? You know, there is an invitation that is... Yes.
Ornab, see, there are, you know, in what happens with politicians, and Nawaz Sharif is a seasoned politician by now, they say one thing when they are in opposition, they say another thing when they want to come into power or when they come into power. I mean, I kind of agree both with Mr. Kasuri and Colonel Kaul in particular, and I go back to the central point, that trust but verify. So in both cases with Nawaz Sharif and in cases of any other offers coming to India, we need to go into much greater detail. We need to do it in homework. I think, you know, we shouldn't be jumping the gun so soon. Clearly, I mean, as you've alluded to that, though Nawaz Sharif by and large has extricated himself from responsibility for Kargil, and as General Shahid Aziz has come out with disclosures that it was Musharraf and his crony of 3 others, the CGS, GOC 10 Corps and GOC FCNA, who were really involved in that operation. But Nawaz Sharif, we have photographic evidence of Nawaz Sharif having gone to the Kargil location on the other side of the LOC in February 1999, and it was in February 1999 itself when Mr. Vajpayee went to Lahore. So it was not that he was completely out of the loop. The fact is, in his defense, the only thing that's come out is that he has a short attention span. So therefore, he didn't listen to very carefully the briefing of the army. That's what Musharraf.
But why are some? Having said that, but why are some people trying to present this as a great season of hope in India-Pakistan relations? I mean, let me ask Mr. Gul, since he's written the book Before and After Osama. There are allegations, Mr. Gul. Mr. Gul. There are allegations that Nawaz Sharif had a close relationship with Osama bin Laden. And the very fact, you know, this information was further substantiated by an FBI agent, Jack Clunan. And there were reports at that point of time.
Yeah, I think
there were reports at that point of time that money was paid as protection money, which I'm sure you are aware of. That protection money was paid to ensure the safety of Al-Qaeda operatives inside Pakistan and to Islamize the state and society. What does that tell you, Mr. Gul?
Yeah, Arnab, I think you are going into too much nitty-gritty. The person has yet to come into the office. He has signaled some goodwill towards India, basically reiterating what his party has also suggested and mentioned in the manifesto. I think what is important for both countries, particularly for a number of Indian intellectuals and also the media, they should not act as musketeers. They should not act as advisors to their government. Media on both sides should act as a mirror, as a watchdog of the society rather than as an advisor. Now, having said that, I think having said that, I would say that politics is not static. International diplomacy is not static either. It requires, I think, recalibrating of positions. If you get stuck in what happened in 1999, what was the role of Nawaz Sharif, then we can't get anywhere. Well, neither should India have reciprocated to General Pervez Musharraf, who also visited India at the height of tension.
Mr. Gul,
I think
Mr. Gul, 1999 is not the issue. Because 1999 is raised only today because the question of whether we can trust this man is now being asked by Indians. A large majority of Indians don't believe the fact that Nawaz Sharif didn't know. though he tried to put a clean face to it and say Musharraf never told me. The question of trust. However, Mr. Gul,
look,
2611. No, Mr. Gul.
You are conducting a program. If you are issuing pronouncements now,
Mr.
then
Gul,
you should not have us here.
Mr. Gul, my question to you is,
program,
no, Mr.
Right? And you are anchoring the program in a way as
Gul,
if we were the government spokesman.
Mr. Gul, what is your view?
Right?
What is your view? Will Nawaz Sharif do anything? Will Nawaz Sharif do anything fundamentally different on the 2611 case? Will he do anything fundamentally different on the 2611 case? What is your view?
Well, let's hope that he takes a very realistic position.
And
let's
what is
hope
that?
He is in a position to, I mean, why prejudge somebody before he hasn't taken the office? So the world moves on. We should also move on, and I would hope that both the military, the ISI, as well as Mr. Nawaz Sharif have learned their lessons. And the lesson is that we must address the issues that are irritants, that are disturbing our next door neighbor.
Precisely.
And until it's very, I think, logical to expect that unless those issues are addressed, this relationship will not go further.
Mr. Gul, I don't know why you find anything of what I'm saying. You say irritant, so am I. The greatest irritant for India is Pakistan's export of terror. That is it. So I'm principally asking you whether Nawaz Sharif, whether Nawaz Sharif will do anything different.
You're right. Well, let's hope that he does something different, because otherwise this relationship will not go anywhere.
Well, I don't know. Let's go across to Fareed Malik, who's think tank coordinator of the PTI. Mr. Malik, thanks for listening on patiently. Do you expect Nawaz Sharif to offer something very different as so far as India-Pakistan relations are concerned?
Well, let me clarify a few things. Number one, there was a mention of an overwhelming mandate. I think that statement is not correct. There are some issues as far as the mandate is concerned, and they're being addressed, number one. Number two, as far as Kashmir is concerned,
Oops. Well, just lost the line. I think it's coming back. Let's see if we can get
Pakistan.
Yeah.
And I think a democratic Pakistan means moving towards peace with India. I think all parties are moving in that direction. And if we have exchanges and we talk to each other, I think that will help. But as far as the invite for the Prime Minister of India is concerned, I think it's too soon. And I agree with Mr. Kasuri that Mr. Nawaz Sharif has to have all the briefings. He has to understand what are the ground realities, what are the conditionalities, and then it will make more sense. But a democratic Pakistan will move in the direction of peace with India.
But your political parties are in the clutches of the ISI.
No.
Your political parties are in the clutches of the ISI.
Please don't bundle all the political parties.
So your government,
like that. I resist that. No.
Your government is.
Please don't. The point is, if a party has a clear mandate, and if a party has support of the masses, as PTI has, there will be no dictation. Our foreign policy will be dictated in the best interests of Pakistan, without any dictation from any agency or any quarters. And Imran Khan has made this thing very clear. If we come into power, we will exercise that power.
But Nawaz Sharif is in power.
And I resist this statement that all political parties, pardon?
I think you resisted, but with all respect, sir, the general view is that the government of Pakistan is never free in the conduct of its policy towards India. It is completely at the behest of the ISI and the Pakistani army. Subramanian Swamy wanted to come in, and that's why we are on this issue, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, Subramanian Swamy.
Well, you see, if you look at the factual position, we are in fact de facto at war with Pakistan. They have got, they are sending terrorists across to India. They have set up a series of terrorist attacks. Then they have training camps in what they are the portion of Kashmir that they are holding on to, and then they are treating the Hindus like vermin, and they are butchering them. They are raping their women. They are forcing them to convert. And all these
portion of Kashmir you're holding on to also.
How can you have any dialogue with Pakistan?
Of Kashmir
the only thing we can do is prepare
that's under
for
Indian
war.
occupation also.
Well, I don't know what about Indian occupation. If you are going to question accession of Kashmir to India, then all the 150 kingdoms which are acceded to Pakistan can also be questioned. How can you question it now?
The
Just
issue
because
of
Jawaharlal
Kashmir-
Nehru gave you an
the issue of
assurance,
Kashmir-
we reject
It's a
Jawaharlal Nehru.
question.
We don't accept
I hail
Jawaharlal
from
Nehru.
Kashmir.
Come on,
I hail from
don't
Kashmir.
distort the history.
Sir, I hail from Kashmir.
It's
I like
So
to
do
go and
I
visit
hail
my
from
home in
Kashmir.
Naseem Bagh in
My
Srinagar,
ancestors, the
and I've been denied
Rishi
that
Kashyap
right.
created Kashmir. I also hail from Kashmir because my
I'd like
ancestors,
to-
the
I'd like
Rishi
to come in
Kashyapa,
here.
created Kashmir. Don't forget that.
I'd like to come in here.
Yes, Colonel Anil Kaul, before I come to you. Yes, Colonel Anil Kaul, yes, please. I wanted to go back to Abid Rao. You see, we're on fundamentals and we are not on symbolism. So, Air Vice Marshal Abid Rao, what control do you think will Nawaz Sharif have over the ISI in this term that we begin to believe that all his gesturing will amount to anything?
You just made a statement that all Pakistani political parties are under the control of the agencies, therefore they cannot exercise a free foreign policy, particularly India. Indian government, on the other hand, allegedly has been free of all agencies. Tell me, what contribution have they made to the peace? Any solution have they offered to any of the disputes that we have since 1947, Kashmir being number one, where India has gone to UNO and then backed out of that kind of a situation.
Sir, I'm
1971, we agreed to similar agreement
Yes.
that both the countries should resolve it. Tell me what progress has
Yes,
India
and on
made
the Shimla
the
agreement,
rules
let
of
me ask
Kashmir?
you. No,
Until
Air
you
Vice
stop
Marshal,
that-
Air Vice
until you
Marshal,
stop
no,
that-
on the Shimla
Yes.
agreement, Air Vice Marshal, you raised the Shimla agreement, despite
Yes.
knowing that according to the Shimla agreement, there can be no third-party intervention on the Kashmir issue. Nawaz Sharif, when
So
he
what have you done
traveled...
about it? What
Sir,
have you
one
done
minute.
about it? You know, you
Sir, one
stall all the talks, you stall all good gestures, and then you say whether Mr. Nawaz Sharif... Let
Sir,
me
I'm
tell
ask-
you, you're talking about Kargil. You have invited Pervez Musharraf to Agra in 2002. You sent your Prime Minister to Islamabad in 2006. Now you want to go back to 99 and accuse Mr. Nawaz Sharif?
No,
I don't understand
Sir,
what historical logic do you present when you talk about...
But Air Vice Marshal, you just agreed with me on 4 things. We've agreed here, Nawaz Sharif won't do
Yes.
anything different on 26/11. He will not do anything
He
different
will-
on Hafiz Saeed.
What-
He will not do anything on
How
accepting
can
the
we give you
Shimla agreement.
guarantees before your Prime Minister visits?
Pardon me?
No guarantees can be given to you. No guarantees can be given to you before
No,
your
no,
Prime Minister
nobody
visits.
seek. I don't
We
think
will-
in the
we will do
prevailing.
that
I
if
don't
you
think in the
send
prevailing.
your Prime Minister with a promise that he will come and solve and talk about
Sir,
Kashmir.
I don't think
he
in
will
the
talk
prevailing-
about Siachen.
I
He will
don't-
talk about other issues that are pending with Pakistan.
Sir, I
You
don't
people
think.
just want to make allegations and stick to that. You want us to believe what you're saying. This is most hilarious part of your conversation.
Air Vice Marshal, we have 2 hands go up. Maruf first wanted to respond to you. Yes, Maruf to Air Vice Marshal Abid Rao.
Yes.
Air Vice Marshal, sir, there are a couple of points. One is that you keep saying we took the Kashmir issue to the UN. Certainly we did. The UN resolutions that came out of it,
Yes.
please read them. They've been stuck because of part 2 of the resolution, which you people never implemented. You talk about Shimla agreement that we backtracked. But in Shimla, we gave away 93,000 prisoners of war on a verbal promise of Zulfikar Bhutto, in which he resigned subsequently. You talk of Kargil, that we did not do much on Kargil. But on Kargil, again, your army and your generals left your soldiers to be buried by us. And then, having initiated Kargil, we still went the step forward to invite him to try and have peace with you. The problem is that you, and unfortunately in Pakistan, take the most intractable issue, which is Kashmir, and you want us to solve it overnight. When I tell you something, sir, you would also know it as a
How
military
many
man.
more years do you
We have all
want?
invested.
66 years have passed.
Sir, it is not 66
66
years,
years
sir.
have
Believe
passed. How
me,
much more
in our
time?
lifetime.
I mean,
in-
overnight.
Sir,
Your politicians,
please,
our
let me
politicians will
complete.
have to sit down and talk about it.
It is.
Let me, sir,
It is
the
very
problem
simple,
No more talking on
Air
Kashmir.
Marshal.
Sir, please listen.
It
Sir,
is
listen
very
to me.
simple, Air
The
Marshal.
central problem we're trying... central problem of trying to resolve Kashmir is that we don't have political giants to make concessions and survive politically. Nawaz Sharif has to build his political capital. Manmohan Singh is not in a position to make any huge compromise over Kashmir, and therefore there are solutions available. But it goes against the very established ideas of nationhood of both countries. Therefore, Kashmir doesn't move. We are saying move on other issues. There are possibilities. And I've been part of a process
But
where
you
the
don't-
not Siachen,
That
but the
means the weakness is on your
issue
side.
is solvable.
Our General Musharraf wanted to
sir,
resolve
it is
this.
not.
Our
It is
Nawaz
not.
Sharif wanted to resolve
Sir,
this.
in other words, you are
Sir,
admitting
the-
tonight.
sir,
No,
the
in other
central-
words, one second.
Sir,
In other words,
sir, the
in other
central
words, one
problem
second.
is
In other
your
words,
military
Air Vice Marshal-
establishment,
No.
your military establishment will be rudderless without the Kashmir issue. Please understand that.
No, in other words, Mr. Kasuri, let me get in Mr. Kasuri.
If
You
that
see
is
what
the thing,
I
why don't you stall
Air
our
Vice
military
Marshal-
establishment?
Air Vice
You had
Marshal-
8-10 good years with Pervez Musharraf.
Air Vice
You had
Marshal-
all the options to resolve.
Air Vice Marshal,
Yes.
Air Vice Marshal, the simple point is this, and I like to put that point to Mr. Kasuri. Mr. Kasuri, there is a clear and visible alternative that is available right now. And that alternative is stop funding these, these separatists in the Kashmir Valley. Stop spending your, so much Pakistani money on funding the Gilanis and all these separatist people. Stop sending in so much infiltration across, the border. Stop, sending these people and telling them to target some vulnerable targets like off-duty policemen. End your approach towards Kashmir, Mr. Kasuri. Get realistic about Kashmir. Get realistic about Kashmir, and in the meantime, stop also the terror camps which are continuing to operate on your side of the border. It's a useful start. Don't you think if Nawaz Sharif can do that, then maybe a year or two down the line, India may reciprocate? Here's the opportunity for Nawaz Sharif if he does that.
Your problem is that you meticulously follow the political philosophy of your political pundit Manu and Chankya. You see, now the Chankya in the Arthashastra has said that if you have your janta is disturbed and if the Raja cannot meet the problems of the Paraja, then show the Paraja a mythical enemy outside border and built up that mythical enemy to an extent that it will introduce a galvanizing and cementing politics. So you keep harping on the animosity of Pakistan because that is how you run your republic, and you introduced a galvanizing and cementing politics because India is a homeland of scores of subnationality and there are different ethos going on, but this is the way you consolidate your republic. And let me assure you that your democracy, although it's the largest democracy in the world, but is it a real democracy? Because I feel it's a Brahmin democracy.
No, you have
and
said
in the Brahmin
this before.
democracy, the rights of Pandits are different, Kshatris are different, Shudras are different. And what have you done with the minorities, Muslim minorities in India, and the Christian minorities in Goa, and the Sikh minorities?
Mr. Kasuri, I ask you a simple question. No, Mr. Kasuri.
Let's not talk of minorities.
No.
Let's not talk of minorities, sir. 20% of your country's minority are Shias, and they are being butchered on the roadside. Forget the poor Hindus and the Christians. It is the Shias who are 20% and they are being butchered on the roadside. I don't say it. Pakistani publications are saying it.
Maruf, I don't understand, Mr. Kasuri.
Let's talk of the larger issue.
No, I am on the larger issue and a fundamental issue. I don't understand, Mr. Kasuri, what I said which was so wrong. I simply said that a clear alternative and a visible alternative for your government is to stop spending your money. Anyway, Pakistan is on the verge of bankruptcy, or probably is, to stop spending so much money on the separatists on the Indian side. That is a clear alternative, and then earn the goodwill of the government of India,
Sir,
and 1 or 2 years down the line, maybe the government of India will take you at face value.
Sir, you should appreciate that we are the bulwark You see, we have got a 2,300 kilometer porous border with Afghanistan, and with the huge sacrifices, we are
Mr.
plugging
Swamy.
that gap. And you are the beneficiary of that, stoppage
no,
of
that's-
the infiltrators.
Sir, you're not answering my question.
And the terrorists. You see.
Dr. Swamy.
Let me tell you,
Arnab,
if we
Arnab.
were
Dr.
not
Swamy.
to be
Yes.
there, then these
No,
I see.
go right up to
Dr.
Delhi
Swamy
and
first.
Bombay, you see the.
No, Dr.
So give us
Swamy
the
wanted
credit
to.
that we are
You
stopping,
didn't answer
and
my
we have
question.
Given a huge big sacrifice.
The
40,000
Sir,
killed,
the thing is,
60,000 injured, 80 billion rupees we have lost both in private and public sector.
Sir,
and yet
that's
if
all
we are
right,
not
sir. I know the
satisfied with our
situation in
performance,
Pakistan, but
see,
I'm asking
in this
you-
region, how we are stopping
So-
terrorism.
No, no,
Otherwise,
no,
these
so
terrorists will
Nawaz Sharif
go
does-
right up to Delhi on their old route to Panipat and then Delhi. you see.
Sir, the question was India's genuine concerns on terrorism. My simple question was on that, which you have not addressed. Dr. Swamy would like to respond to you. Mr. Kasuri Subramanian Swamy, please, and then Maruf.
No, the issue is that the Mr. Nawaz Sharif, as somebody pointed out, is not even taken his oath. I don't know whether he's taken his oath. Second, he doesn't have a majority. Third, whatever majority he stitches together will be all the hardline elements. Now, the most important things are a commitment on the question that they will not send infiltrators across, that they will not train terrorists in whatever territory they have grabbed and kept, which is so-called Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. And the third thing is that they will not hurt the minorities, particularly the Hindu minorities. Even Shias, we got lots of Shias in our country, and the butchery of Shias we cannot forever watch and not say anything about. On these fundamental issues of human rights, they are not willing to say a word. So how can you have any relations with Pakistan? It's better to keep it in deep freeze.
Okay, Colonel Call.
I don't know, Mr. Kasuri is talking about Panipat, the old route of the invasion through Muhammad Ghazni and Muhammad Ghori. Oh, come on, come to 2013. We've got the Indian army waiting in case you ever think of even trying to cross the border. Right, so let's not talk about it. Secondly, the gentleman who he said was from Kashmir and is very pious about why this has not been solved.
So that's
Kashmir
Farid
is
Malik.
not
He'll
the
respond to you
Kashmir
next.
Valley
Farid
only.
Malik. Farid Malik. His name is
Kashmir
Farid
is
Malik.
not the Kashmir Valley only. Kashmir is a very big state. It has Ladakh, it has Jammu, it has Udhampur. For heaven's sake, get out of that mindset and stop funding these people, these religious fanatics who don't mean good to you or to us. But as long as you keep funding them and you keep creating a bogey with them, this situation can never come to normal. However pious Mr. Nawaz Sharif might feel or like to become as normal as possible, until you people get out of this denial mode and keep saying what happened from 47, just let's move on. It's 2013, 47 or 66 years ago. It is incontrovertible.
So the question here
part
is,
of India.
no. So the question is to Air Vice Marshal Abid Rao and to Farid Malik. Maybe Farid Malik wants to first respond. Sir, every Indian panelist is saying one fundamental thing, which I know that heart of hearts, Mr. Malik, you agree with. But because you are on an Indian news channel today, you will not agree. You agree with it? Perhaps if this was if on a Pakistani news channel, you'd be more frank. But on an Indian news channel, you are taking your country's position.
No,
the fact is, the ISI determines your Kashmir policy.
I'm kind of.
Don't you think so?
I'm kind of surprised. I'm kind of surprised at the closed-minded look at the Kashmir issue. The issue is that Kashmir has to be settled through peaceful negotiations, and that is our policy, and we'll do it. The
Sir,
issue
there's
is
nothing
that
to settle.
Kashmir is for the Kashmiris.
So there's nothing to settle.
What do you mean? Kashmir is for
There's
Kashmiris.
nothing to settle.
There's
Kashmir-
nothing to settle.
I'm a
For
Kashmiri
Kashmiris.
Pandit.
There's
I'm a
nothing to
Kashmiri
settle.
Pandit.
In
What are you talking
Kashmir is
about
a settled
Kashmir?
issue.
I'm a Kashmiri also.
What do you-
Yes,
I have
Kashmir is a
houses
settled
in
issue.
Kashmir.
See, that's the root point. So
Have
that's
you
the
ever
root
thought
point.
about the Kashmiri
Kashmir
Pandit?
is for the
Have you
Kashmiris.
ever thought about Kashmiri Pandit?
Okay, Colonel Call
What
is
Kashmiri Muslims?
Yes, of course we have. Of course.
The problem with you is
Of
that
course,
you think
of
about
course.
Kashmir as for Kashmiri Sunni Muslims. That's it. That's where you stop.
Why doesn't India withdraw its troops?
There are
from
Ladakhis, there are
Kashmir?
Dogras, there are Kashmiri Pandits, there are Sikhs.
There
That is what
are
makes Kashmir,
lakhs.
not
There are
Kashmiri Sunni
over
Muslims.
8 lakhs troops in Kashmir. The point is,
And who
there are
does
8
Mr.
lakh
Gilani
soldiers.
represent?
There is one
No, and who
soldier
does,
for every Kashmiri.
one second. Most of the, one second. My question to Farid Malik is this. Farid Malik, most of the money goes to these pro-Pakistan separatists. You tell me, Mr. Malik, who does Syed Ali Shah Gilani represent? Who does Yasin Malik represent?
Sir, there are
How many people in Kashmir do they represent? That you tell me, sir.
There are serious allegations
represent the Kashmiri people.
of India funding
really, they
unrest
do?
in Balochistan also.
No, I am asking
Yeah,
you,
there
sir.
are. There are very serious. There are serious, very allegations about India funding unrest in Balochistan.
I am asking you a question on Kashmir.
That is a serious
I am
concern.
asking you a question on Kashmir. It is a proven fact, and you know, and even Air Vice Marshal Abid Rao knows. Let me get him into this. You know, and Abid Rao, I have the whole Intelligence Bureau note which exposes what the ISI plans to do in the Kashmir Valley in the summer of 2030. And I want to ask you, Air Vice Marshal Abid Rao, have you asked the Kashmiri people if Syed Ali Shah Gilani represents them? That you fund his money and his anti-India activities?
Ali Shah Gilani represents the Kashmiri people.
Oh, really? And how do you decide that, sir?
Okay.
How do you decide that?
Okay, Mr. Goswami, why don't you ask the Kashmiri people what do they want?
There are elections. They have already chosen a government.
You are suggesting No. You are suggesting everything for government of Pakistan, including our newly elected Prime Minister. I think elections for Pakistani government should be held in India so that anybody who comes here is somebody of your choice. I mean, it is most ridiculous that you're commenting on our new Prime Minister as to whether you should trust him in future or not.
Well,
we have
certainly.
never said that. You have yourself just admitted that your Prime Minister of such a large democracy is not strong enough to settle any issue with Pakistan. Then what good is your democracy? Our military dictators have been
you ask a question on trust.
Issues,
you ask a question on trust. Let me say this openly. Yes, there is a problem of trust with Nawaz Sharif because the operation, as it is proven, and I'm reading out reports by Pakistani soldiers.
What choice do you have?
By Pakistani soldiers in Kargil.
Talking or going to war with Pakistan, do you have any choice?
Sir, please understand.
I mean, what are you trying to do? You are trying to ridicule our
Sir, the last
process.
time
Our entire 180 million people, that they cannot select. They have to select somebody good for them, not for you.
Sir, Air Vice Marshal, unfortunately, who the Pakistani people select is not our issue. But let me get a word in from Maruf Raza. The fact is this. The fact is this.
You cannot comment.
1 minute, Air Vice Marshal.
Your comments that this man is not good for India.
Air Vice Marshal.
I mean, you discuss in your inwards.
Air Vice Marshal.
When you take me on board,
Air Vice
you
Marshal.
must not give me that impression.
Air Vice Marshal, are you suggesting that you don't know that there are transcripts of a phone conversation that Musharraf himself had with Lieutenant General Muhammad Aziz Khan? Now I'm going into details. I think it was the 17th of May or 11th of May 1999, in which he said, you don't need to tell anything to Nawaz Sharif. He's okayed first part of Kargil operation, you don't need to tell him the rest. He was Prime Minister then. So there are only, one second, Air Vice Marshal, there are only two possibilities. There are only two possibilities.
14 years behind.
Sir, there are only two possibilities that Nawaz Sharif didn't know. In which case, it proves that the political leadership of Pakistan is spineless, or that Nawaz Sharif knew, in which case Nawaz Sharif can't be trusted. You agree with me on that? I'm arguing in a very logical manner tonight with you on this subject.
That is a 14 years old incident. Today,
well, we don't forget what happened 14 years back.
If Pervez Musharraf comes to power, he'll be a different man. When he was chief of the army staff, there was this Kargil incident.
Well, I think that's being naive, Air Vice Marshal, but you have a right to have your point of view. Maruf is responding to you. Air Vice Marshal. Yes, please.
Let me jog the memory of Air Vice Marshal through a historical anecdote. There were, at the time of partition, a lot of Indian and Pakistani army officers that served in similar units. Ayub Khan, Yahya Khan were all cases in point. And a lot of officers who served with them much later when the two countries were at war in 65 and then again 71, often swore by those officers by saying that some of the atrocities, some of the wrongdoings could not have been done by them because they were a certain kind of gentlemen where they were, and therefore, the whole thing is being misrepresented. Therefore, what the point I'm trying to make is it is not going to be easy to trust a person just because 14 years have passed. We have to take our time. To that extent, for a change, I agree with Mr. Raza Kasuri that let the Foreign Office in Pakistan do their homework, build up the whole process of bilateral interaction, and also Mr. Nawaz Sharif has to exhibit to me, he has to exhibit one central factor that honor he.
I'll just say one thing to what Maruf says.
He has to exhibit.
One second. I'll say one thing to what Maruf says.
He has to establish that he is in control of Rawalpindi.
Well, we'll wait for the day.
Make concessions.
We'll wait for the day.
Unless that is done, it will continue
if
to be
wishes were horses, then beggars would ride.
There will be no deliverables.
Well, the point of the matter is simply this.
My future Prime Minister, but you don't know who makes Mr. Manmohan Singh so weak that he cannot settle an issue. You have just said that.
Well, not the army, thankfully.
You don't allow
not the army. Not the army.
You don't allow him to settle an issue.
Not the army. But one thing is there, sir. Kashmir is not up for. Kashmir is not at stake. Kashmir is a settled issue. I think that's the first point the Pakistanis will have to reconcile. Kashmir is a settled issue. There's no negotiation
Pakistani
on
soil
Kashmir.
And let your Prime Minister say that. We will see then what do we have to do.
Well, all the people of India say that.
It is not at all a settled issue.
Every Indian says that.
United Nations.
Every Indian says that.
Sorry, sir.
It's a settled issue.
Kashmir is a disputed issue.
United Nations is history.
Absolutely.
United Nations is history.
Kashmir is not settled. Kashmir is a disputed issue. Absolutely.
Well, then Pakistan will keep having different options.
Sure, but then Pakistan should protect its own borders first.
There are outstanding.
Gentlemen, thank you very much.
We will do that.
Thank you very much for joining me.
Very capable of
Thank you very much for joining me on the News Hour Debate 1 tonight. Thank you.